Alright, so for the second video, I'm going to go through and show. In the previous one, we talked about making a circle class. I think we briefly showed it on the screen, but I want to show a little bit more about how we could kind of incorporate array lists to make this a little bit more powerful. So in here, I have a bunch of circles, and they're going to head towards the right side of the screen. We're going to use array lists to make this happen, and I'm going to walk through the code. I'm probably going to also add something else where, I love to have these things kind of bounce off the wall. Maybe I'll have them like bounce off the wall and change their color. Actually, I think I'll probably save color for the next video. So let's have these things, to begin with, have them show how we can add these into an array list, have them move to the right, and then maybe I'll do a little bit bouncing too. So let's get into showing the actual code for how to do this. All right, so first things I'm going to need to make sure that I import my array list, which is going to be under like java.util.star. We'll save that inside of here, and then I want to make sure that I declare, I don't want to have this circle in here anymore. Let's make an array list. It's going to be filled with circles. We'll call it circles. Welcome to skip ahead of this at any time. If you feel like you got some of this, just skip to the part that you think is going to be relevant for you. But let's set this up. So we have an array list here. Our circle class is still set up pretty generically. We have a display method, we have a move method, and so we're going to use that for making this happen. Let's see, I guess the first thing I want to have happen is I'm going to do, instead of key pressed, I'm going to say public void like mouse pressed. So anytime we create a mouse, every time we press the mouse, we're going to create not a color, but we're going to create a circle called temp. It's going to be equal to a new circle, and then we just need to set up kind of some values for it. I'll say 150. Its location is going to be a mouse X, mouse Y, and then we are going to pass in access to the current thing that we're working with. And then we just need to make sure that we add this into our array list. So that should be good there. Now when we click, we're going to create a circle, we're going to add it to the array list. For the draw function, we're going to be calling this repeatedly. We need to look through, basically we're going to do a loop through all of the circles in our array list. Each time we find one of those circles, we want to display it. And then we also want to do we're going to do move X, I'm going to say 5. I think that's really going to get us up to where we're at in the video. Let's see if this works. We're going to run it, I don't like the background being like that. Let's change it to 255 to make it white. Yeah, a little bit, kind of bubbles appearing out there. Okay, so let's make this thing bounce now. In order to do that, I can really keep this the same thing. I really want the circle should keep track of whether it's touched the edge or not. So what we're going to do in here, we're just going to do inside the move thing. And I'm just going to check to see if, let's say loc x plus, we need to find the width of our circles. That's going to be the radius times 2. So we're kind of looking for the rightmost side of our little bubble or little circle. We're going to say if that's greater than or equal to, we can actually go into parent.width to get the width of the screen. Or we can check to see if the loc x, if the left side of the circle is less than or equal to 0. If we do that, we're going to say direction times equals -1. I want to kind of focus on like how I'm doing this. I know I don't have a direction right now, but this kind of, I'm thinking this process through. So I need to make need to make a direction variable. Basically, it's going to start out at 1. So let me just set that up here. I can say private direction, private int direction. Inside my constructor, I'm going to set up direction to be equal to 1 to begin with, to make sure it's going to the right. And then, yeah, just basically, if this thing happens, I'm going to flip the value. And then I'm just going to multiply this times direction. So typically, to begin with, it'll be 1, it'll have no effect. But then once we hit the right side, it's going to flip that value. I think that really should code this. Not quite right. Okay, I might just kind of stop it for there. It looks like that's the center of the circle. I wonder if I need to change this. I don't want to go too deep into this. I bet if I just change this to radius, and I wonder if this is loc minus radius. I feel like it's generating the loc x might be actually the center of the circle, which I wasn't aware of. Let's see if that's a correct thought. Still not real good. I'm going to stop it there. Like, I could probably spend some time troubleshooting this and figuring out the kind of making sure it gets to the end, but I think kind of see the point here. I'm a little curious about the width, to be honest. I wonder if I just code this in as, I think the maximum value is 800. I just said I wasn't going to troubleshoot this, but I just really can't help myself. Oh, that's even worse. Oh, did I mess something up here? If loc x, that seems like that should be right. Maybe you guys can figure that one out for me. It's really kind of demonstrating what I wanted it to do, though. Not quite working exactly the way I wanted, but anyways. But really, so you've probably done this in the ChatGPT prompts. You should have. But you were doing that inside of this class. You're having like maybe a rectangle bounce off the screen. What I want to emphasize in here is that you can like still have basically that same code. It's just taking place inside of the circle class. The circle class is handling that. In the app, we're just telling it to move. Hey, move to the right this number of spaces, and the circle is saying, okay, you tell me to move. I'll figure out the direction stuff. I'm going to keep track of the direction for each one of these circle objects. So that way, when I have a bunch of these working, even though not working fully correctly, they all have their own little keeping track of their own little distance. Apparently, it doesn't like that spot right there. Oof, that's painful.